Avid, go start.
Hello, everybody, and welcome tonight. As you can see, we got the legendary catfishing queen, Paula Smith. And we will be asking her questions. And if you have any questions, please feel free and put it in chat so we can ask her the questions. We don't want to miss anything. Tonight's all about Paula. So,
Oh, Lord.
Robin?
It is. We have LG Bass in the house. Howdy, Tom. There's Country Catfish with Chuck. He says, what's happening, everyone?
It's my buddy.
Richard Federley says hello.
That's part of my team.
All right. You brought your team in the house.
Awesome.
Yeah. Richard and Keisha he bought my first catfish boat. Of course, if I'd have known I was going to be diagnosed with cancer, I'd have never bought the boat I've got now. But we work as a team, 2 boats. So we'll have a fleet out there one of these days.
There you go. Palmetto Cat's in the house. He says, boom, boom, bam, we're live. Matthew Jallamore, is that part of your gang too?
Well, all of them are my friends. Yeah. Well, I think they're my friends. I hope they're my friends.
Jason Lamb is in the house. He says, good evening, everyone. Rolls and Reels says hello. Alan Dittmeyer says, hello, everyone. And Richard Dedley says, Paula is my sister from another mother.
And there you go.
That describes
She's
quite
mine
well.
that made the mistake, not mine. Mine's a saint.
That describes a lot.
Shirley T's in the house and Chucky just arrived.
You missed Annette's catfishing that came in.
Oh, I did miss Annette's catfishing. Thanks for catching that, Avid. Raining Catfish came in. We have 19 live in the chat now. Make sure you hit the thumbs up to thank Avid for bringing Paula on tonight. We're going to have a great conversation with Miss Paula Smith. And if you have any questions, like Avid said, just type it out. We'll put it up on the screen and we'll have Paula answer it.
Yeah, I'm going to leave my glasses off because it's such a glare. Y'all can just read it to me because I won't be able to read it. I'm blind as a bat.
Okay.
Mike's Fishing Home came in and he says, the legendary Paula, have a great one. All just got home, not able to hang out tonight. Replay in the morning.
All right, Mike. You be safe.
Thank you, Mike.
Tonight, replay in the morning.
Sorry about that.
And Lance came in, says, good evening, everyone listening while watching the game. See, you even got one of the guys to get away from the game.
All right.
To watch you. Or at least listen.
There you go. Who's he pulling for?
Who you pulling for, Lance?
Paula wants to know who you're pulling for. I don't need glasses. I need longer arms, is what says.
He says the Chiefs.
There you go.
Del Hayslip, welcome. Saying Paula Smith loves and cheers.
Who said that?
Del Hayslip.
Thank you, Dale.
Del says Cincinnati Bengals 2 days.
Yeah. I still love you, Dale, but you got to go with the Chiefs.
Paula, Ellen wants to know, will you be at CatCon this year?
Yes, I most definitely will, unless something goes backwards. But my last treatment is Valentine's Day, February 14th. And I'll probably be the only one there with a mask. My last treatment, my cancer doctor told me that I wouldn't see him on this treatment and I asked him, I said, do I need to still, do my precautions? And he said, no, you be normal. And I just went blank and like, what is normal? I don't even remember what normal is. So I'm still gonna mask up and give my body time to, because my immune system's shot and
Yeah, you don't need anything on top of what you've been through. You
right.
really don't.
I'm gonna still try to protect myself. Uh, my main thing right now is building my strength back up because the treatments the treatment they give you to kill what's trying to kill you is also damaging your good organs or body parts. So my thyroid is messed up and I have to take thyroid medicine, but he said that'll level out once my treatment stop. My enzyme levels are a little high in my liver, but all this should level out, once all this, treatments start working its way out of my system. Uh, but I have a lot of fatigue, and that's due to the treatments. So I'm gonna beat it. I'm not gonna say that I'm cancer free. They can't tell you that by law. They can tell you they can't. He told me he sees no cancer. Um, I could have one little cell running around in my body, just like either one of y'all could have one little cell. That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm in remission. I have to wait 5 years before he can tell me I'm cancer free. So it's kind of scary, but I have faith in God. I know that if it wasn't for God, I would not be sitting here today.
I would like to say welcome to Joy Stewart and Chris Everett. And Chris, thank you for sharing out Paula Smith's link.
Oh, thank you.
And Robin, hold on. I gotta go back there a minute.
Are you having chemo, Brain?
No, my computer's Alan Dittmeyer is Catfish Pirates.
Oh, okay.
And
He's coming on next week, right?
No, we'll be having him February 19th.
Yeah, he makes the pretty signs, the wood board signs and stuff.
Yeah, for the veterans fishing tournaments.
Right.
Oh,
I'm going to help out with a lot of that this year. I'm going to try to pay it forward. So I'm going to try to, take out veterans. I'm going to do a lot of fishing this year.
Well, if you want to be up on panel when he's up here on the February 19th, you're more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
Of course, I have to take things day by day. Of course, I worked all year during all this, and I got approved for my disability.
Excellent.
Which I know it. I'll tell you a funny story. I come home. I had a treatment last Tuesday, and the Friday before, I come home and Ken's got the online banking on his phone. I don't have it on mine, or I'd give all my money away because I forget my password or I get scammed or something. But anyway, he said, apparently Social Security Administration has deposited a large sum of money in our account. And I said, say that again. And he did. And I said, does it say Paula Smith? And of course, I have an attorney, and I assumed that he would be giving me this information.
Right.
So this was on a Friday. Martin Luther King Day was Monday. Treatment was Tuesday. So I wasn't going to be able to get to the bank till Wednesday to because I thought it was a scam. So that whole weekend, I dreamed. I bet I dug 5,000 holes in our farm because I was going to take that money out and hide it and tell them when they said we made a mistake that I was holding it hostage till they had my hearing. So Wednesday morning, this last treatment had really hit me hard. I think they're super, super juicing me these last 2 or 3 treatments. But I got my letter in the mail, and it was like, wow, this is real. But I'm still going to work because I don't know how not to work.
Oh, you're like me. I don't know how
Just
to.
watch that you don't work over the hours that you're allowed, because
Yeah,
then you take that, and it's so hard to get re-put on it if something happens while you're working where you
right,
get too tired and not unable to do so.
right now. Before inflation, it was 22 hours a week. Now they upped it to 30 because of inflation, but I only do 20 hours a week. And I've got of course, I don't know if y'all know it, but most people know I work out at Loretta Lynn's ranch. I work on her end. And I've got the greatest boss in the world because he's never pushed me. If I feel bad, you know what I'm saying? And if I get in a pity party, like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. He sets me straight, and he's been the greatest boss I've ever had in my life.
That's great.
Yeah, they have really been wonderful. Of course, Loretta Lynn sponsors me also, and I'm grateful I'm grateful for so much.
We have Scott Swift that came in. We have Snake River's Catfish Lair that came in. Yak Shore Outdoors, the Bullock Experience. Welcome.
Matthew did say when you get on February 14th,
Everybody hit a bell.
ring that bell.
Yeah, I tell you what I'm going to do. I told my mother, she lost my dad when she was 45, and she's never remarried. And I had 2 older brothers, and she buried both my brothers. And when I was diagnosed, and I was pretty sick at that time, she come over and was sit on the edge of the bed, and it was all she could do to hold back tears, and it was all I could do to hold back tears. And don't get me wrong, because I don't want my mother to ever leave. But I asked God that day to please don't put my mother through this again, and he hasn't, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But I told my mother that the doctor wants my immediate family to come down on my last treatment so he could tell them what to look for, if for signs to look for in case it's coming back. Really, I'm tricking her. I'm going to have her help me ring the bell.
Oh, how nice.
And I hope she don't cry, because then she'll make me cry, and I don't like to cry.
Oh my gosh,
But
I'd cry.
I just think that's one of the greatest gifts I could give her, that relief, because she has been through so much, and this is really, it's really worried her.
Oh, I bet.
Country Catfish is saying a little fib, huh?
He
Yeah.
also did say, amen, hallelujah, God is good all the time.
She may take that, whatever it is you ring that bell with, and whoop my behind right there. 'Cause I'm planning on videoing it or going live, but she's mean as a snake. She may whoop me right there on the spot.
Hey, you may get a whooping right on live.
Yeah, I know it. She's so small, and I have upped the size. I've gained weight, not a whole lot, but uh, I went to get me some new work jeans the other day, and I was like, I ain't never wore this size pants before in my life. So I'll probably, like I said, everything will start leveling back out. Uh, it'll just take time, and I'm not gonna push myself. Uh, as far as fishing goes, I can do every bit of it except I can't, if I'm sitting on the rope, I can't throw the anchor or pull the anchor because
Right.
I still have my port, which I'm not allowed to lift over 8 pounds. So if I catch anything, of size, I can reel it in. It doesn't hurt to do that. But uh, my husband, Ken, he's been going with me, and he'll lift it up and I'll sit down, he'll set it in my lap. But that I miss, I miss putting my hands in that mouth and getting them knuckles bloody and releasing them, but I'll still be fishing.
We have a young cook in the house, but I'm going to stir the
Oh,
pot here
feedback.
a little bit. I'm going to
What
stir
was
the pot
that?
here a little. I'm going to stir the pot here a little bit. So, I've seen a couple of videos where your husband was trying to be
Bossy?
suave and lip the catfish, but instead of lipping it, he quick released it in the water before he got it out of the water.
No. He got fired over that because I kept saying, "Get the net, Ken, get the net," and he said, "I'm just gonna reach down and get it," and I had the camera and I was holding the pole. I felt when it got off, and I don't remember what I said. It probably wasn't very nice.
No, it wasn't. It was a little sarcastic, but it was funny.
But well, that's me and Ken. That's our dynamic between us. And then he went in the enclosure, and I said, "Where are you going now?" And he said, "To get the net." I said, "It's too late to get the net now."
I seen that video, then I seen it again. I'm like, he hasn't learned yet, has he?
Yeah. But he's made every step of this journey, this battle with me, every single step, and it's almost like I feel like a kid starting kindergarten and your parents dropping you off and you want to just squall because you're lost, and that's where I'm at right now. It's a whole different kind of fear. You've got to find normal, you got to find you again, and but I'll do it. That's one thing that I've always been taught was never be a quitter, never give up.
Exactly. And you're not. I've heard your name mentioned so many times because I'm new to the catfish community. I've only started since September, and
Well, welcome.
thank you. And everybody's wait until you see Paula. Wait until you see Paula. Wait until you see Paula.
Well, there ain't
And
much to say.
Oh, I beg to
there's a.
differ.
You know what? You might be a little lady, but you have a big spirit. So you keep that up. I see that in that fishing, and I'm like, that is awesome. That is awesome.
Fishing it's unexplainable. Of course, family, God first, and then family. Um, but fishing is that's it. It's everything.
Oh yeah.
Just when you hang one and we fished a tournament, Mad Catters, which is a local tournament. They did a benefit for me, and we fished it because I wanted to show them that I'm going to support them for what they did for me. And one of my poles went like that, and then it went bam straight to the water. And I jumped up and I got to reel on him. You know how you'll reel 2 or 3 times and then get it out of the rod holder and start reeling. When I got it out of the rod holder, I probably got to reel about 6 times, and then I knew I'd lost him. I felt it. And when I reeled in, he didn't break my hook. He didn't break my leader line. He broke my 300-pound ocean cat swivel in half.
Oh,
You pull the round circles, on each end of your swivel. He
yeah.
didn't pull them two. He snapped it in half. I probably had a new personal best. And of course, Cam was sitting there and he said, "We'll have to hear about this for a month." And I said, I ain't going to say another word about it. So I just kind of turned my head, and about 5 minutes later, Ken said, "I wish we could have just seen it." And I said, "Well, you just shut up."
Well, I look at it this way: if it broke a 300-pound ocean swivel, you could have had a new Tennessee state record.
I know, and it's just recently been broken, and I know what I've caught 3 in the 80s, and the 88 was probably in the 90s. But we had said 88, so we stuck by that. I felt him, and he was a beast, but I know where he lives.
There you
We'll
go.
back and
There
get
you
it
go.
again.
I know where he lives.
Retired Rick came in. I don't know if you said that earlier, Avid. I'm sorry.
Who's that?
Retired Rick and John
Yeah.
Parker's in the house. Mr. John Parker.
The guy that can't fish with a lick?
Chris Everett is posting your link out there. Make sure you do go to Paula's channel and Hooksetter if you haven't already. She has some great content out there.
I seen one of your videos that intrigued me to ask you this question. You were fishing of a night, and I thought I seen lightning bug lights on the tip of your rods. Am I correct? Made by Chuck.
Yeah, if there was lights on the tip of mine, it was made by Chuck Watkins.
Right.
And he just recently announced that I'm one of his pro staff, which really cheered me up, because I feel like I have been forgotten.
Oh, you're not forgotten by no means.
Not at all. And then David Smith says, "Look at this beautiful cancer-killing monster catfish catching, heartwarming woman Evan has up here on his show tonight."
Thank you, David. Thank you very much.
What a sweet thing to say, David. Very, very nice.
Paula, everybody in this catfishing community loves you.
We
They
do.
know what you can do and what you catch. I have one question. How badly are you going to beat Creo when you face him?
It's going to be a tough tournament. I chose Creo because I was raised with 2 brothers, so you had to fight to survive. My 2 brothers. So I like a challenge. I like a good challenge. I'm going in this as an underdog, the way I look at it. But I feel like it's going to be a tough tournament. So, and I've told him that Ken has to be on the boat in case we, I haven't kept up with everybody on the dates yet. I think me and Creel will just come up with the date. But if I'm going to be on the riding the rope, Ken's going to have to do that. but I'll be doing everything else.
You're going to make sure he has a net in the hand when he comes near the fish again?
I'm going to duct tape it to his hand.
Because I have a funny feeling.
Dominic Hollis says, howdy, howdy, Mrs. Paula. You'll never be forgotten. We love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Y'all don't know how much that means to me because I always wanted to accomplish something on my own, and fishing is what I have accomplished. Fishing is my life. Last year when I was doing the chemo and radiation, and I was pretty much in the bed the whole time. I had my fishing pole at the foot of the bed. I had planer boards at the foot. I had everything that you could think of at the foot of my bed so I could stare at it.
We have Melissa Shannon, we have Danny Stone, we have Dominic Hollis.
Donald Long says, hello, Avid, Robin, and Paula. May God continue to bless you over and over again.
Thank
Danny
you.
Stone says, we talked about it extensive the day. Creel is really happy to be fishing against Paula. He said it was an amazing honor.
Oh, the honor's mine. He's probably going to wipe me all over that map. I don't know however you want to say it, but he's probably going to smear me.
Now, remember, you know where that big one lives.
Hey,
that's right. The only
right.
thing about my area is the service. I've got to make sure I'm going to be where I've got good service. So we'll just have to play that one out. I know where some big guys are.
There you go.
Melissa says, Paula, you are our inspiration and we love you.
Y'all gonna make me cry. Quit that.
Tony Harrison said, good evening, Paula, everyone. I have your muddy river rod, but I don't have deer antlers holding it up. That's the next level.
Well, tell him the only reason I got it is because the game warden Ken. If you go to the other end of the house is my fishing room, and like my I retired my rod. I call them poles because I come from the country. That I caught the 88 on. I've got a lot of driftwood and the fish net, and it's all got that room is just consumed about fishing. So. But it's more comfortable to be back here in Ken's. He stole my chair, basically. And when you sit in the other chair, you sink down about a foot off the floor. And so I'll just have to steal this one back.
There you go. What age were you when you started fishing?
Oh, Lord, I was fishing probably at 5 years old. My first fishing pole was a cane pole, and I could make one right now. My daddy, I was such a huge tomboy. He taught me how to farm. If he was plowing, I was disking. If he was disking, I was plowing behind him. And we live close to the Buffalo River, which I'm big into contamination, where Ken is big into conservation. The Buffalo River has been contaminated. There's still a no consumption on the Buffalo River, and this has been since the 80s. There was I'm having chemo brain. There was a industry that was dumping their waste. I think it was mercury, because mercury sinks straight to the bottom and it don't go nowhere. So it's still so high, and this was back in the 80s, and we're in the 40 years later. there's still no consumption out of the Buffalo River. So I never dreamed of catfish being at that age. I never dreamed of seeing catfish like that. And what really got me into the monster catfishing was I was at work one day and Ken went fishing. And if the Tennessee River gets, I think it's below or right around 30, 35 degrees, you can get on the Duck River, which spills into the Tennessee, and it's spring fed, and it's usually 2 to 3 degrees warmer. So the big guys go up the Duck River, and Ken sent me a picture, and he'd caught one that was like 50 something pounds. I thought, my God, I didn't know there was fish that big. So I thought, this ain't gonna happen no more, because you're not going fishing without me, and either you're gonna have to make your work. I think he wasn't retired yet. You gonna work the same hours I work, so you can't outdo me. But that's when we started really getting into the monster, and then I caught a lot of flack from some people that the only reason she's catching fish is she's married to the game warden. Well, he didn't have a thing to do with me catching fish.
You got to let stuff like that just blow right off your shoulders and say, they're going to say what they're going to say. You know who's fishing, you know who's catching, and you're that good. And that's why they're going to say stuff like that.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm that good, but
okay, I will. You're that good.
Well, thank you.
We're that good. Everybody in chat and everybody in the catfish community would tell you that.
At that point, I made a decision to stop fishing with Ken, so that way I could prove that, hey, I'm doing this. It's not Ken doing this, I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. And of course, I was taught by the best. He was a game warden, a boating instructor, and he taught me how the do's, the don'ts, the everything there is about boating. And you'll never see me do something stupid on a boat, because the water is unforgiving.
Right. You got to respect that boat. You got to respect that water, because it's unforgiving.
That's right. It's like, if it's calling for 10, 15 mile an hour winds on land, you got to double that for water. Mm-hmm. So if it's a north wind where I live, you're going to have some big rollers. If you go on Wheeler and it's a west wind, you're going to have big rollers. That's something that I'm not trying to say everybody doesn't know this. I'm sure everybody does, but you have to take consideration into whatever body of water that you're going to fish, plan to fish. You need to study that area, keep up with the weather for that area for the time that you're going to be there, because you need to be prepared for whatever situation comes up. The year before last at the Sea Arc Invitational, I didn't have my boat that I've got now. I've got the one that Richard has, and it was just too risky. So I, as captain of the boat, I had to make a call, and I hated to do it, but it was not worth mine or my partner's life. You can fish another day.
We have Uptown Christian Brown that came in. We have Dominic Hollis. We have Fisherman Jeff Beal, Susquehanna Stan, Turtle Lady. Welcome in.
Chrissy Brown, Ronnie Oakley.
So, what what really got you into these giant cats? What really got you hooked into hunting for those big cats?
Because it's such a challenge. You've got to find them, you got to get them to bite, and then you got to get them in that boat. There's no better feeling to me or for me. There's no better feeling than something on the end of my line trying to take me off that boat. That is the ultimate.
David Smith says after Ryan Bortz telling Paula that he would stick a shad in her mouth if she fell asleep one night out fishing, should we call him for backup during the Creole tournament?
If Ryan Bortz has stuck a shad or whatever in my mouth while I was asleep, because I think I had pulled a double tournament that day, he would have woke up with 2 black eyes and a bloody nose.
I'm sure he would. I'd almost guarantee that one.
No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't. I'm just a big joker.
What is your favorite bait to use while catfishing?
It depends on what time of the year, what body of water I'm fishing. Like in my area, TVA is no longer here, so we don't have skipjack as prevalent as say Wheeler and Wilson. Gizzard shad, for me, I love gizzard shad because they bleed good. To me, the skipjack is great bait, but a gizzard shad bleeds better than any bait I've ever used.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know,
agree with you on that one. Gizzard shad bleeds like nothing.
yeah, you get a fresh gizzard shad, excuse me, and you cut into him and the blood just starts pouring out. There's times that and I know everybody can relate to this that fishes. There's times that you don't get the opportunity to have fresh bait, but I'd rather have fresh bait than anything. But now I've caught plenty on frozen bait. If you freeze it right, it's good, but I want fresh bait.
That's what a lot of people say. A couple questions have shown up. Turtle Lady wants to know if you do any shark fishing.
We don't have sharks in my area, thank God.
And Ronnie Oakley is in the house, says, Paula, I'm Shad Daddy. You know me.
Tell him I have
Ronnie, you'll have to remind her who you are, other than Shad Daddy. But another question in regards to the bait. Now that you answered that, what rigging do you like to use?
Most time I use Carolina rig. I've seen a product on Facebook, and I'm not going to bring up names or anything because I think there was a little controversy, but there's some new dragon weights that's going to come out, and I'm really impressed by them. But me and Ken tend mostly to do,
I'm sorry, family thing. Go ahead.
That's why I'm hiding in Ken's office. Me and Ken, we make our own weights. We try to do. Ken is like a mad scientist. If he comes up with something, I'm like, Ken, we need to market this. This has never been heard of. He's not interested. So, the best advice I can give people is use what you believe in, use what you trust. You know, so and so makes this rod holder, so and so makes that rod holder, so and so makes this rod holder. Use the rod holder that you're comfortable with. Use the fishing pole that you're comfortable with. And I will say this, you can splatter paint all over a fishing pole and it ain't gonna help you catch no fish. Uh, use what you believe in. I don't use anything that I don't believe in. And
I'm sorry, my house is in an uproar right now.
Do what?
I said my house is in an uproar right now. I sit down to do the show. It's all quiet. And I come sit down to do the show and everybody's in an uproar. Dogs are going nuts. Brother-in-law's blood sugar's high. Anyway, I'm really sorry. I apologize for the commotion on my end.
You're good.
Done out.
You're good.
But Melissa is asking a very good question. Paula, other than Ken, who is your favorite person to fish with?
I really don't. I mean, Ken's not my favorite person to fish with. I've became I've relied on him so much during this past year. Ken's like fishing with the game warden. You throw a net and you catch a bass in that group of gizzard shad, and he makes you throw the bass out the boat. And it's like, Ken's straight up. He's straight up by the book. I enjoyed fishing with. I loved going to New Mexico and fishing with Chris Flores. That was probably one of the best memories of my life. Steve Douglas, I enjoyed fishing with him. I enjoy fishing with anybody that loves to fish.
We have 721 in the house, Dumpaholic. We have Pontoon Jody, the flathead queen, in here. Welcome. So, how did you get to meet Chris Flores?
The first catfish conference that we went to, and I guess that was, I don't know, maybe 2019. This pandemic and cancer and everything's got my days and years messed up. But the first catfish conference we went to, I didn't know who Chris Flores was. And Ken said, go over and get a picture with Chris Flores. I said, who's Chris Flores? And he pointed him out, and I went over there and I got a picture, and I looked at his rods, and I got home and I ordered 2 of his blue cat rods. And then he messaged me back and said, how many rods would it take for your boat to be exclusively Muddy River? I said, well, I got 12 rod holders, but I'm a poor person. You're going to have to give me time. I can only buy a few at a time. And he said, no, I'm going to send them to you. And that was like, oh my gosh, and he did. And Chris Flores is an excellent sponsor. He has called and checked on me, and him and Fran, and they're great people. But this year at the conference, I'm gonna try to kind of hang around his booth and try to help him out a little.
That'd be great. He'll love the company too.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Of
Here's
course, I
another
want
one.
to see everybody because I haven't gotten to see everybody because of the pandemic, and then last year the cancer. And Ken and I both are really looking forward to it. It's because there's going to be people like Katie Collins and people that I know on Facebook, just like I've known them all my life, but we've never really met in person, and I'm so excited. I'm really excited to see everybody and thank them for what they've done for me. The support that they have given me.
We have Fishing with a Squirrel in here. We have Dustin with Team Snagging Whiskers. And I want to go back over a certain video that everybody's talking about, and some people that's new in this catfishing community don't know. They just hear stories of it. You went fishing with Chris Flores, Muddy River Catfishing, on the Muddy River. And you ended up with a fish getting snagged underwater under the boat. What made Chris Flores dive in that water for you to bring back your flathead?
Because that's the kind of person Chris is. I mean, Chris goes that extra mile. I kept saying, you don't have to do this. Oh my God, I was just in shock that he was, off with the boots and the socks, and I thought he's going to drown, and I'm going to be stuck out here in the middle of the swamp, and I don't know how to get out of here. And it just blowed my mind that he would go that extra mile to get that fish. And like I said, that's probably one of the best memories of my life.
Out of all his videos that he's taking people on that river, you were the only one he went in that water for to get that flathead.
I know it just Chris is my family. He's my brother. He has done so much for me, and that was, I can remember it just like it happened yesterday. I remember saying, if you guys don't vote this the best video for the Golden Whiskers Award, something wrong somewhere, because I'm not, I told him, I said, when you come up here and I take you fishing, I'm not jumping in for you. I ain't going in for you fish. But for him to do that was just amazing.
Everybody is still talking about that knows about that to this day.
Yeah.
Ray Smith.
It'll go down in history for me. It might not for everybody else, but it'll go down in history for me.
Hey, it's already a legend on the catfishing community because he hasn't done it for anybody else. Just you that I know of.
I'm probably the only one got one hung up.
I don't know about that. I'm sure there's been a few, but watching you and him fish together is amazing.
Oh, I had a blast, and I can't tell, where this location is. He might send a hitman. But
just have him call me. I'll explain it.
It's like we pull up, and I think, this is a river. It just looked like a muddy little swamp creek, and here we go down, all the way down to where it opened up, and then as we start back, we stop at each place we want to stop, and he called them something else. I call them cattails. He just said, grab a hold of one of them and tie the rope around it. And I was like, and then he said, if you need to use the bathroom, just let me know when we pull up on the bank. And I'd look up on the bank because I felt like I was in the swamp in Florida. I thought, well, that looks like an alligator path. I can hold it.
Around
But
those times down there are a lot of beavers and muskrats and river otters down there.
yeah, and I'm telling you, every stop we stopped at, we hung a fish. I mean, it was unbelievable. Every place that we stopped, he or I caught a flathead.
Nice.
Well,
You know, and that was, you know, in my area, and I'm sure a lot of other waters, you know, you flatheads, you can catch them in the mornings or you can catch them late in the evenings, but not, you know, rarely throughout the day, consistently. And that day we put fish in the boat consistently. It was just, of course, I had a broke foot and I was sliding in mud, and we were in this little bitty, like, paddle boat, and I was like, oh my God, did Ken pay him to take me out here and get rid of me?
you
You know, but,
get all kinds of weird thoughts like that, don't you? When you go out backwoods like that.
well, actually, I'm just joking around. That's me and Ken. We
Right.
joke a lot. I do the joking, and he's the more serious guy. He's the law. I'm the outlaw.
Here's another question I have for you. At when did you first get to meet Steve Douglas and get to fish with him?
um, I met Steve. I believe it was at the first catfish conference. Well, I had requested him to be a friend, when I got into the catfishing, and he never responded. And when I caught that 88 and the video went viral, well, he sent me a friend's request, and I thought to myself, well, you didn't want to be my friend before, I don't want to be your friend now. But, you know, I mean, he's somebody that, you know, you watched uh, their videos and learned things, and I can't remember the first time that I went with. Every time I've went with him, I've caught a. He, I went with him one time year before last, and we were in my boat, and of course I was driving. If y'all have ever been to Wheeler, the bridge is about, I don't know, 6 foot wide, 2 lane, and I said, "Are you gonna drive, or you want me to drive?" And he said, you can drive. And I thought, oh my God, he's putting me through a test. So I just squeezed it tight, boy, and I just went across that bridge, and I thought, phew, I passed that test. And then when we got to the boat ramp, I said, I was trying to play cool, like I, knew what I was doing, and I did, but he makes you nervous. I said, you want to launch me, or you want me to launch you? And he said, the first time I think I launched him, and then the second time he launched me, and then I got out of the driver's seat thinking, he was going to jump in and bust across the Wheeler Lake, or I think that's where we were at. And he said, no, you're going to drive us across there. And I thought, oh my God, it's a test again. You know what I mean? I mean, everything, you don't want to mess up in front of, like, Steve Douglas. He's a legend in his own right, and I did everything on key, and I was like, thank you, Lord. And then he made a comment at the catfish conference that during the pandemic, that I went down, but we didn't have like it was more online. And he made the comment about me driving across that bridge, he knew then I knew what I was doing. What he don't know is I had my eyes closed and just hoped I made it to the end. But Steve has been good to me too. All my sponsors and the majority of the catfishing world has really, really been good to me. Really
That's
good.
good to hear. That's really good to
Give
hear.
us your experience of CatCon.
Do what now?
Give us your side of your thoughts of your experience of going to CatCon every year.
I love the camaraderie. I love seeing all the products. Some of the seminars I like. Some I'm not really, you know, I'm hyper. I can't sit still very long. Probably my favorite thing is seeing, like I said, these fishermen that you're friends with on Facebook and you feel like you've known them all your life, and then you get to see them face to face. And, like seeing people that you look up to, and then people come to you and want a picture with you. That blows my mind because I'm like, I'm nobody, what are you gonna picture me for? But
One of these years, I'm going to show up at CatCon and surprise you.
well, I hope so. I hope so. I hope I can get through this next 5 years without stressing myself to death. And but I'm still gonna try my best for that 100-pounder and that state record. Micah, I can't think of his last name, that just recently broke the Tennessee state record. I am so happy for him.
Yeah, he does amazing. He has good video and good content on his channel, Micah.
And he's a super, super nice person.
According to what I've been seeing on his videos, he is.
If you'll watch his comments on other people's posts, yes, sir. You don't see a lot of that nowadays.
You don't see good manners. Championship with Chuck says Micah Burkhart.
Yeah, Burkhart. Now, the last two Tennessee state records have come off the Cumberland River, but I believe there's a state record in every river that we have in the United States. I think there's a world record. I think there's fish down there that we've not even begun to touch.
Oh, that's like the Mississippi. You don't know what's in there that's big enough to pull a boat down river all the way down to Louisiana or take you all the way up to the Great Lakes.
Right. I believe that there's a 100+ pounder in my backyard. We're about 5 minutes from the lake. The creek that runs through our property spills out into the bay, which is the mouth of, and runs into the Tennessee, and that's where I caught my 88. Right where the creek runs into the Tennessee, the mouth of the creek, and it's amazing from that time till now the things that you have learned differently. Technology's improving. And every time you go, it's almost like you have to relearn because the pattern has changed, the weather's changed. Some days they may bite, some days they, may not bite. But if you put enough time on that water, you'll figure out where these fish are. If you find the bait, you'll find the fish.
Right. I don't know if you know Epic Catfish, but him and Sean,
Yeah,
they fit right up there along with you, Muddy Rivers, and Steve Douglas for landing some giant cats.
gosh, I ain't even gonna be able to get out of Ken's office. My head's gonna swell so much. Y'all gonna cut that out.
Well, it's the truth. There's
Now,
a group of you that I've seen Epic's videos and lives where he's on the down below Alton Dam hooking into some 50s, 60s, 80s, 120s, 140 pound cats that he could have had the Illinois state record and he's never turned them in. He just turned around, unhooked them, and let them go after he's got pictures.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't really fool with my YouTube channel as much as I should. I'm going to do a lot of more tournament fishing this year, but it's mostly about just getting out there on that water and fishing. I can video it and post it on Facebook, and that's good enough for me. I'm all about catching that fish, that next biggest fish.
I know you're not about subscribers, but I'm going to do this anyway. Everybody, Paula is setting at 787 subs,
and I've been at that forever. And on TikTok,
let's help her hit 800 subs.
I'd like to see 1,000. On TikTok, I've got over 1,000 followers. It don't make no sense. But
all right, everybody, let's push Paula to 1K. She said that 787 they can be done. We can have it done before CatCon if we put our minds to it. Let's help her hit that 1K.
Thank you, Abby. I appreciate you saying that. But
Fred experience says time equals experience. Experience equals big fish. He walks his rivers as much as he boats it. So when I first talked to you, I was in a group chat with you. And the thing that I got out of it most of all was when you said, research your waters. Know your waters, left, right, up, down, cold, hot, whatever. And that advice stuck with me from that day till now. As a matter of fact, before I came in, I was researching more of the water. I had some catch reports that I was watching.
Yeah, research plays a big part of fishing, because if you don't research, like say, okay, I've got a tournament coming up in North Carolina on such and such river, I'm going to have to research that river. I'm going to have to pull the map up, because I'm not a rich person. I can't go down there and stay 2 weeks and pre-fish and I don't even really like to pre-fish because I don't like to sore lip them.
Right.
But I want to know the contour of that river. I want to know it right here. I want to read about what's been pulled out of that river. I want to know the good and the bad of that river. Like people ask me, is the Duck River fishable? And I'm not going to lie to anybody. I will not keep any secrets from me. I'll tell everybody where my fishing holes are, because there's not a guarantee that fish is going to be in that same spot tomorrow.
We have another one from down in your neck of the woods that just came in, Paula. Maurice Kaysen, the #1 subscriber for everybody on YouTube. He's in.
He is my mother's neighbor, I believe.
And Chrissy Brown, thank you for dropping the links and helping out. Hey, we got Chris Flores in here, Muddy River Catfishing.
Yeah. Hi, Muddy River.
Hope he didn't catch what I said about him.
Well, he just walked in by what I understand.
Well, good.
He was probably lurking in the background. but he
Miss
heard the
Flores,
good.
if you want to come up and talk with Paula, I can share the link with you. Just say so.
He don't talk to me.
Oh, I bet if we had a chance, he'd pop up and say hi to you. And I want to challenge everybody in the catfishing community to help push Paula to 1K.
She's at 780 or 90 now. 90.
790, so we can do it.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. You know, and I'm on TikTok too, Fisherman Paula Smith. I like TikTok because you can add music to it, and most of the music I add to it means something. You know, I guess whatever mood I'm in that day. It's a good thing I ain't been in a real bad mood. We'd have got AC/DC HELL bells.
Nothing wrong with that, honestly.
I've heard worse.
But I am. I cannot express how grateful and blessed I am right now in my life. And I'm so excited about fishing that I mean it's like before, you know, when I had 10 treatments or 15 treatments left, you know, you just had to go from treatment to treatment and sick most of the time, and you take all this medication, trying to work in hot sun, and you know there's just no way. And then now that I'm at the finish line almost, you know, just a couple more weeks, all that's on my mind is fishing.
You getting fishing fever, huh?
Yeah, bad. And I want to say a huge shout out to my grandsons Hayden, Kathy, and Jace. They Jace is the least, and he loves to fish. Hayden loves to fish too, but he's 11 and uh, he's more into the gaming and all that stupid stuff. He needs to be out in the yard playing mud hole or something. But he gave us a pretty good scare the day I had my last treatment. On the way home, I called his mom to tell her the good news that I only had one more treatment, and the doctor said he sees no cancer, and she popped my bubble quick. He told me, he said, you've got to keep your stress level down because that helps, you know, cancer come back, you know. And she said, I'm sitting at the doctor's office with Hayden. One of the teachers noticed, and he's just 11. One of the teachers noticed that one side of his face was drooped. Of course, the first thing you think of, stroke. You know, he's a healthy kid. He's a very intelligent kid. I should say young man. What they think is that he had gotten an ear infection and the wax built up so bad that it pressed on a nerve that caused it. But that just sent me into panic mode, you know, and I was like, oh Lord, day one of keeping your stress levels not working well. But it's so funny because during Christmas and Thanksgiving, during the holidays, you know, you sit down at the table, and my son usually says grace every year, and then you start eating, and Hayden asked me this question, something about science and the universe, and I leaned over and I said, "That's a Papa Ken question," and I said, "Ken, Hayden wants to ask you something," and he asked him, and then Ken and him carried on this adult conversation about the universe, and all the rest of us was just sitting there like we didn't know what they was talking about. So he is highly intelligent, loves science, biology, and I think we've got another game warden coming up. So Jace, on the other hand, is about like his nana. He's probably going to be the outlaw of the group.
Corn-fed experience had the question for you. It says, our rivers are really low. They have been for 2 years. Any advice on low water catfishing? We don't have blues here, flathead and channels.
Oh, wow. I would say kill all the channels. No.
Hey, don't be hating on those channels.
I cannot stand channel cats. They bug the fire out of you. If your water is low, there's got to be some kind of a small hole somewhere on that river system. Look in the bends where when it does get up, it'll wash out just a little deeper spot. And I try to set up on spots like that. We're pulling, I think, around 160,000 cubic feet right now per second, which is, a little bit much for my area. Average is about 60 to 80,000, but, and our water is low. We just go and hunt for small, not large, not a large stretch of deep holes. We look for a smaller deep hole with the drop off with maybe one log, two logs, and try to put that bait right in front of them. This time of year, they should be stacked. I've not seen a lot of that this year, which is strange. Of course, now a lot of people have their own opinions, and I respect that. But everything goes in cycles. Everything in life goes in cycles. 3-4 years ago, our fishing here was excellent. I don't know what happened, but we had a lot of flooding. We don't have any milfoil grass for the fry to, the baby catfish to hide out and whatnot. So I don't know. The bait fish kind of disappeared. We're seeing a lot more bait fish this year, so hopefully it's starting to come back around. If y'all will remember a couple of years ago, you were seeing more bigger fish at Wheeler and Wilson than you do now. So everything goes in cycles. Where I'm located, I'm at the end of the Tennessee River, Kentucky Lake. A lot of people complain about being at the beginning. It's hard on the end too. Like I said, you've got to get out there. You've got to figure out what works for you. What works for me may not work for y'all. What works for y'all may not work for me.
Have fun experimenting to see what does work.
Right. And if what you're doing is not working, you sit on a spot 30 minutes and you don't get a hit, you move. If you get activity, stay a little longer because there's a good shot that you may get a good fish. And a good fish is any fish. A 5-pound fish is a great fish. I'm more searching for that.
You're that trophy, yeah.
And sometimes I have to reel myself back in because we've got all these companies selling all these products. And if you stop and think about it, what did our grandparents do? You know, they kept it simple. They didn't
Mhm.
have what we have. You know, all this sonar and live scope, and they didn't have that. So sometimes we have to bring ourselves back to the basics, you know, to get back into the swing of appreciating what we do have and can do. And one thing I would really love to see in the catfishing world is uh, more advice. Like a lot of people, well, I'm not telling you where I caught that fish. Uh, a blue cat can travel up to 28 miles a day. You know, this is research that I have read. If it's a large, you know, 80 plus pound, a large blue cat, he has a home ground. It may be a 5 mile radius, but he has an area that he sticks to, where people think blue cats just travel up and down, and most of them do, but when they get a certain size, they keep in their area. Where flatheads, you know, they're pretty homebound naturally, but large blue cats pretty much stick or come back to where their home ground is. You know, and I hope my 88 is out there, and I hope he weighs 140, and I hope a 10-year-old child catches him. You know, uh, it's so important to conserve what we have because a lot of people don't believe in global warming. I personally do. One day we may not have this. Uh, and it's important for us to preserve it for our children and our grandchildren because they have a terrible, ugly world they're having to live in right now and grow up in. And if we could get them in the great outdoors, it would be the best thing for them to have
Absolutely.
kids, you know. And as far as women go, I don't like to hear women doubt themselves because we can do it. Yeah, I'm fortunate. I was married. I was married. I am married to a retired game warden, and you know he taught me so much. But if you're a woman and you want to know, I'm open 24/7. If I my phone's always on silent, but if I catch it, you know, I'll respond to anybody, you know, and give any advice that I can give. Uh, Go to your husband and ask. Learn to do this on your own because the enjoyment that you get from knowing you did it yourself without somebody else driving the boat, somebody else reading the screen, sonar, you know, you did it yourself. And if you don't catch a fish one, you still accomplished what you went out to do. So never ever give up, ever, on anything. Never give up.
I have a question for you because it's not many women I get to talk to that like catfishing and are very open about their role with God, you know, how they're in their lives. But when you're out there fishing in God's country, just seeing that water, do you feel even closer to God than you do any other time? Or is there an inner peace that comes over you?
when I get on that water, you know, my husband, when eagles were, on the extension, or what do you call it?
Endangered list.
Endangered list, he brought them back. And I know where they're at everywhere around here. And I look for that. Or getting diagnosed with cancer in itself is scary, but it really brings you back down to what matters. It's not the vehicle you drive, or the pretty dishes you have, or what kind of shoes you got on. It's the little things. It's the color of the sky, the color of the water, the sound of the water, and I'm not going to be one of these holy rollers that just preach, but there is definitely power in prayer. And without God walking right beside me, holding me in his hand, I would not be here today, because there was many days I did not want to go any further.
No, I understand. That's really good at that.
And I hate that it took something like that to, bring me back to my faith. I've always had faith, but that really has brought me closer to my faith. And then, I usually do my update on my treatment day and whatnot, and the fear that came over me. And of course, I was telling you about the disability money I hid 50 million times, and I was so overwhelmed that day. And that doctor saying, "You see me no more." It just terrified me, because I said, "Can you not just give me a little chemo pill to take every day, just for the heck of it?" Because you're, it's like being turned out into the pasture, and of the unknown, and it's scary. But that's where I made my mistake, is I took it back instead of giving it and leaving it to God.
Right.
Am I making any sense?
You are. You are. What I got from it is like God lifted you up in order for you to get where you're at.
Yeah, and Ken, he has been a great supporter. He's always said, "Paula, we're all going to leave this world." And the doctor, I mean, he's told me this for months. The doctors told us that, he is showing no cancer on the CT scans, MRIs, nothing. He even did a bone scan, and no cancer whatsoever. But in my mind, I'm like, "Ken, you need to come back down here on my level." I've got to be in reality, and look at it like this could come back on me at any given time. So what time God gives me, I'm not going to waste it on negativity, disliking someone, because there's time is short and very precious.
Oh yeah.
It's my ex-sister-in-law, and she's just like a sister now. We started a Bible study, because it says in the Bible, where one or more gather in my name, it's just like going to church. Amen. Which I'm not comfortable enough yet to get around a big crowd, because I still feel like I need that mask and that distance. So I'll go over to her house when Ken's a Mason, and when he has a meeting, I'll go to her house and we'll have we don't like start with Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 and read it. We'll just kind of go through and something that I've highlighted, I'll read it out loud, and then we'll uh, relate something that's happened during that day or the day before that fell right into what I just read, and vice versa. It's like God is showing us the way, and He knows that we're hungry for His word. And here I have turned into a preacher now.
No, you haven't. That's just the question.
I don't know if you seen what Chris Flores said earlier. He says,
He probably said, Paula, shut up.
No, he said, don't forget the L, Paula. Pole hole. Whatever that's supposed to mean.
Don't forget the what?
L. Pole hole.
Like in pole, don't forget to enunciate the L.
He's giving you grief.
You were so sweet and talked about how great he was for jumping in after that fish, and he's laughing at your
country
enunciation.
Talk.
Yeah, your enunciation.
Yeah, country talk.
Oh, it's pole.
Like
P-O-E. Skip that L. Skip that L. That's extra exercise.
I like the way you say it. Pole hole.
I will never forget that day. It was right up there, boy. It really was.
Get him up here as a guest one time and let you be in chat and give him grief.
That's right.
Yeah, we need to get him up here so I can rag him. I would never do that to Chris because he has been so good to me. He made my signature rod. That's something that I can leave my grandchildren. I mean, I can't say, well, Nana was the president at one point in time, or, she didn't invent electricity, but she's got a rod with her own signature on it. Someday that might mean something to them. I don't know. It might not. But it does to me.
Yeah, Chris is an awesome person. He's done a lot for this catfishing community. He's has an awesome line of tackle. He's helped a lot of people out that I know of.
Yeah, he's a great person. He
even did a video where he built a fishing wheelchair for Tim Molina.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
I mean, that goes above and beyond.
And he does. He will go above and beyond. He really, really will. We were, I was sponsored by him. So, it was just a trip to go down there and shoot some video. But on his guiding trips, he will go above and beyond. There's a lot of good people in this industry, and then like with anything in life, you're going to have your bad apples,
right?
And the best thing to do with that is just put it to the side and keep going.
It's like a garden. You got your bad fruit with your good fruit. You just got to weed them out and throw the bad stuff away and keep the good stuff.
Right. And, I can only speak for myself, but I would like to say we as a whole have become so self-centered and I don't know if greed's the word I'm looking for. We need to come together as a whole, you know, not as a partial whole. You know, the links need to connect, because
Right.
once that link is broke, you know, you can't connect. Like, I told you where that 88 come from, the mouth of the Big Richland, where it drops off into the Tennessee. The 82 come off the Duck River, and I'll take anybody to the very spot I caught him. The 84 come off of the Tennessee above Cuba Landing Bridge, south of Cuba Landing Bridge. I don't hide my spots because, like I said, them fish move. Not quite as much this time of year, but they move. And, you know, if I don't have any secrets. If I'm catching skipjack and somebody says, you know, does anybody know where skips are biting? If I've seen where somebody's posted skips are biting, I'll say it. And a lot of people will get mad about that. But we all have to have bait, you know, and there's plenty of bait out there for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
Chucky says you're only as good as your weakest link.
Good Lord.
that sounds like a bear.
I don't know what that was. That wasn't me sending no message. Hello, Catfish Dog. Welcome in. Hello, Chucky. Welcome in. David Smith, if I missed you, welcome in.
Hey, Catfish Dog.
Oh, we got someone for you, Paula. We got a mystery man for you. You ready to see who it is?
Oh my God, it's Chris Flores.
Yes, what's up? Well,
Let me bow. Let me
there we
bow.
go.
I'm bowing for you.
My ears are burning. I had to jump in here.
They should have been. I've been bragging like mad about you.
Hey, we had her tell your one and only special fish diving
see here.
story of the flathead on the Muddy River.
You know, the tangled one where you dived in, and I thought, oh my God, I'm stuck out in the middle of nowhere and I can't find my way home.
She talked all good stuff about you, Chris.
Oh, everything's been positive and been great about you. But I got a question for you, Chris.
Hold on. You guys got an echo, or is it just me?
I think it's just you.
Oh, hold on.
You're sideways, Chris. Or my meds are kicking in.
He's a tic-tacking.
He was in portrait mode.
Let me see here.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yeah, do you still have echo?
No, I'm good now.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're good there.
I have a question for you, Chris. What was it like when you first met Paula Smith?
Man, I still got that echo, but if it doesn't bother you guys, I can just hang with it.
It don't
I
bother
don't hear
us.
it.
See if I mute.
So what was
You hear it?
I
No,
don't hear it.
we don't hear it.
I think. Hold on. Let me see.
So Paula, you tell us your side of that question first.
The first time I met him,
Yeah, what was it like?
well, when I found out who he was, it was like, wow, I can't believe I'm meeting all these famous people. And like I said, you know, when he called and wanted to know how many rods it would take to make my boat exclusively Muddy River, and told him, I said, you gonna have to hold your horses. I'm a poor person. Him and Fran both are great people.
Oh yeah. Thank you, David Smith, for the super chat. The show is just made Hall of Fame status here is a payment for the ticket.
Is what now?
David Smith says this show has made Hall of Fame status. Here is the payment for his ticket.
Thank you so much. Y'all are too kind.
I'll send it right to you, Chris.
Yeah, you can't beat Chris Flores.
No, you can't. Chris Flores is amazing. I've been watching a lot of his videos, and him with his son, and him and Tim Molina, and a lot of people he takes fishing.
Yeah.
He is amazing with them.
Yeah. And Chris is such an honest person. You know, he gets up, he goes to work every day, makes a living, then he goes, does his guide service, and then he's got his side business with his rods and his tackle and stuff. You know, that takes a lot of dedication.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of dedication in what he does.
You know, and I'm not gonna lie, there's been a few times I've called him when I was really down and out in the past year, and he tells me to just hang in there, and so I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to everybody that's helped me through this.
Yeah, and I've been watching his videos a lot, and watching what he does, and helping people that he knows he can help. Is really amazing. And it's just not being able to go to CatCon and meet all these people is hard.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
There we go.
Welcome in, Solo.
You need to get this stuff right here off the side of your face.
I've been busy, woman. I don't have time to shave.
So, Chris, like I was going to ask you earlier, what was it like when you first met Paula?
Man, when I first met Paula, I realized she was probably the most hardcore Muddy River fan I ever met. She went and got herself a tattoo that says Muddy River on it. So, that being said, that lady can have whatever she wants. She wants a Paula Smith rod, she gets a Paula Smith rod.
Oh, I agree with you on that one. I still have this burning question. What made you go in after that flathead for Paula?
So, well, the first thing is Paula came a long way to catch a big flathead, and I did not want her to go home skunked or with a story about the big one that got away. So I had to make sure she got her fish that day.
I love that video. That was awesome. Watching her have a fit as you're taking off your boots, your socks, emptying your wallet and your keys on it.
I was dumbfounded.
You just going overboard, and she's like, "Oh, I'm left here alone. He's going to drown."
I'm like, what if he don't come back up? What am I supposed to do?
You got the keys. You know where the truck's at.
Yeah, but I don't think I could have found my way back.
So
I definitely wouldn't have left you, you know.
I would have been where I'd want to be. If I was to have not come up, just know I would have been where I wanted to be.
Oh yeah, but I've seen the videos of you helping Tim Molina with a wheelchair for fishing.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
Thank you. That was a fun build. Tim hit me up and said, "Hey, you know what? If anybody could do this, you're the guy. I got a wheelchair. I want to turn it into a fishing wheelchair." I said, "Bring it on over." And yeah, we knocked it out, man. I sat in that thing probably for about 3 hours, just kind of get the feel for it. And so, I got to think, like, if I'm in there, how would I use it? And so that's kind of what I did. I just went from there. Turned out to be pretty good setup.
Man, I support you in 110% and more, Chris. For
Yeah.
for the catfish community.
Paula's
it's
a
amazing.
sweetheart. She came down and fished with us, and man, we wore those fish out that day, didn't we, Paula?
Yes, I told them. I said every stop. What do you call them? See, I call them cattails
Yeah,
that you grab a hold of and tie
yeah.
the boat. I said every stop we made, we caught fish. Every stop. And, that's rare because in our area, you can catch them early in the morning or late in the evening, sometimes during the middle of the day. But that day, we wore them out. And like I had told them, that's probably one of the best times of my life. And, we're coming this year. We're coming back this year.
I think I put all the pieces of the puzzle together there, Paula. So you came down, I dove down, got that fish untangled for you so you could land it. We thought for sure we had Flathead of the Year in the books, right? For the Golden Whisker Awards.
Yeah.
Well, now I think I figured out why we didn't. Because about a month later, Kevin come down to fish and he got skunked. And I'm thinking, okay, well, he's the one that runs the Golden Whiskers.
Oh, I got you now. We'll have to get into that one.
Oh no, Kevin! I felt bad for Kevin. We tried so hard, man. It was
y'all didn't get anything
when you came. What's that?
Y'all didn't get anything.
No, we got skunked, Paula. By the time Kevin had come, the water had dropped so much, it was almost impossible to get to that spot where we were fishing, and the fish weren't having it.
Tell him he wasn't holding his mouth right.
That's right.
Didn't Palmetto Cat come right around midsummer or late fall?
I came in August.
Yeah. You came in August, and I think Palmetto came like late September, October, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have been biting still.
Yeah. Well, it's just the water changed so much. And then it doesn't take much because the water dropping a foot or two there, you got 3-4 foot average,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what really blowed my mind about. I told him it was top secret. I couldn't tell. So I didn't give it away, Chris. But I think the deepest hole that we stopped at was maybe 12, 13 foot.
Well, I couldn't touch bottom when I was trying to get your fish.
You ain't about 5'4".
Well, you're not much taller either, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, that's 2 inches taller than me. But every time me and Ken get on the duck, it never fails. Either he or I will say, Chris Flores would have a heyday on this river.
Oh, speaking of the duck, I got an email the other day inquiring about my guide service on the Duck River. They said, hey, we saw your truck with your Muddy River decal on it, and we want to know how much you charge to take us out on the Duck River. I said, oh, I know whose truck you saw. It wasn't mine. That was Miss Paula Smith.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I got you splattered all over my truck, my boat, and everything else. But yeah, it was me.
Yeah, they emailed me. I said, if you're ever in New Mexico, well, I'll take you out and dive in for some flatheads for you.
No.
Yeah, the duck is it's muddy right now, and it's got a lot of not necessarily floating debris, but a lot of leaves and stuff you can cast out, and 5 minutes later you got to reel in, clean all the junk off your line. So I'm kind of steering clear of it right now. We've got a tournament this upcoming weekend on the Cumberland. The first place I'm heading. Don't say it, but that's the first place I'm heading.
Yeah, I know where.
Yeah.
That was
And
some good fishing over there. I mean, it was slow, but that one my son-in-law caught, man, that made the day right there.
yeah, it did. It was a monster. And then after that, I got spots, marked on up and down the river. But that's the first spot I'm gonna hit, the morning bite.
That one we marked just further down on the right hand side where that little creek comes in, and there was that fallen tree right there. I guarantee there's something in that spot.
You
Okay.
did a video, Chris, once on floats.
Uh-huh.
What made you do that one for flatheads?
The one where I used the fallen tree in the background?
Yeah. On floats. On floating
So
tubes.
I like to give people visual demonstrations a lot of times, because I know it's hard to grasp when someone tells you something. It's one thing, but when you can see it, it makes a whole nother level of sense, So I don't know how long I drove around my town looking for a fallen tree, and I found this private property with this big old fallen tree on it. So I kind of looked to the left, looked to the right, and I said, I'll take the work truck, and if anybody asks, it looks like I'm there on purpose doing something I need to be.
Right.
So I ran in there, set up my tripod, put ropes up and poles and whatnot, and pool noodles everywhere, filmed it as quickly as I could, and skedaddled. But yeah, I didn't get in trouble, but I was able to make the video for you guys.
That one helped a lot of people visualize how catfish are in sunken trees and how they wait for baits to come up and just bite instead of swimming out chasing them.
Right.
That made a lot of sense to a lot of people flathead fishing.
I think that's one of the misconceptions people have about flatheads and stuff, is that you think that you get that bait close enough that this time of year they're not as feisty, so they're not going to go out of their comfort zone to get that unless they're starving to death, so if you know where to set that bait or walk it back to where that sunken tree is or whatnot, then you got your odds are a lot better.
Yep.
Robin, if you have any questions for him, feel free to ask.
Yeah,
no, I'm awestruck. And Paula was enough. Now Chris Flores is up here, and I'm like, can't say anything.
I was.
I'm awestruck to have him up here, because I should do a show with him once, just have him as a guest and get to know him better.
Yeah, Evan's been trying to get me out here, man, and I've been every time it's just like bad timing. Like right now, we're just doing some family time, and I said, no, I'll step out and jump in. I gotta show you guys some love, and of course, Miss Paula some support. Make sure as soon as I heard her say, I tell everybody where I catch all my fish, I said, oh, heck no, I better jump in there and say, hey,
Yeah, Chris,
let's leave New Mexico off your list there, Miss Paula.
Did I not tell y'all that? I said, I can't tell where we went.
Right.
I couldn't remember how to get there, but I loved where we went.
Hey, I tried to bribe her and tell her if she told us, to have you call me and I'll explain why.
I never let it up, Chris.
Thank you, Paula.
But
Thank you, David, for sharing that.
I was born and raised in Albuquerque.
Okay. All right.
I didn't leave there till I was almost 16.
So you probably have a general idea where I might be fishing.
I have the general idea of where you're fishing. I'm just not.
But you don't exactly know.
That's right. He doesn't know the pinpoint.
Yeah.
Chris,
He knows.
I do have a question for Chris.
Wild goose chase.
Yes, ma'am. Ask me.
I've heard it referred to as flatheads are the lazy catfish. And it's because they don't put up much of a fight until they realize that they're on the hook. And then that's when they'll try to turn away.
Flat. I wouldn't. The fight is definitely different. Like a blue, you hook them and they'll run and they'll do their head shakes and stuff like that. but a flathead, he almost just like suction cups to the bottom. He wants to stay down, and then because they're broad like that, it helps. They're almost like a diving lure, that, and you're trying to pull them up, and then yeah, as soon as they get that water, when they get to the top, they dive right back down. They're not having none of it.
When they feel that tension of you trying to reel up on them, get a little line up, when they feel that, they resist it. And if you ever get some leverage on them and get them coming up, they'll take a nosedive and try everything they can to get you off that boat. It's the best fighting fish I've ever tried to catch.
I will agree with Chris, because when they had that flathead, and when they got that down in that current or in that water and they're going forward, you ain't getting them up until you get that head popped up. You get their head up like this and you got control of them, but with their head going down, they're staying down.
They won't give you an inch.
They're a good fight.
A blue cat, they'll fight you. They run. And I have literally had to sit down on the boat and spread my legs and think, all right, well, you're not checking up and you're not taking me out of this boat. The motor's going to catch me.
I got a question for you and Paula both. Between flatheads and channels, which ones are more of a meaner fight?
I think the flathead.
You know what? I can't. I'd say it's unfair for me to say, because I've never caught a channel cat, maybe bigger than 10 pounds, So I know those channel cats are feisty, but I can't really have a good comparison. But I mean, to me, there's nothing like a flathead fight. I mean, they're not even done fighting. Even when you caught them, they'll fight you in the boat, and then you let them go, and they'll give you one good last tail splash and wet you all up. Just
guarantee it,
boss.
Guarantee you, when you release that flathead, he is gonna splash you.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, for your area between the flathead and the blue, which one would you say is the worst fighter?
Oh, I'll take a flathead any day. Yeah, the blue cats are good fights, but I think the flatheads here are just another level of fight. Like I've had people in my boat that I've taken fishing, and they literally think they're gonna fall out of the boat, because that flathead is pulling and just burying down. They're like, I'm gonna fall out. Well, Paula was one of them. She thought she was gonna fall out of the boat.
Paula has a question for you. Chris, did you ever get that look-alike doll that Jody made for the challenge?
The doll. Oh, so it was what's her name?
That was
Fishing Chick.
Fishing Chick that made that doll. Not
Fishing
Jody.
Chick made that doll. That doll, I swear, became more famous than me. Traveled to more places than I did. It ended up in Steve's trailer when we went and did the catfish conference last year in Kentucky. We put it on the boat that I was giving away, and Trish, Michael Murillo's sister, ended up winning the boat, and she got my stunt double along with it. So I think it's in where are they from? Iowa.
I'm not sure where they're from.
I think they're from Iowa.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the United States.
Oh, that brings up another question. The Fishing Chick video that they did to give pick on you guys on Palmetto's show, where she had the blow up of Chris and she was being Steve Douglas. What were your thoughts on that one? Because I know you were laughing out loud on that one.
Oh, dude, that was hilarious. When I saw that doll, I was like, that looks just like me.
Fishing Chick done awesome on that one.
And she had the boots, and she had the jeans, and she had everything, the belt and all, man. And then she even made another one where you could order your Chris in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And she was unboxing her Chris in the box for $19.99 or whatever, and came with an 8x10 glossy picture of me, and then the blow up doll and the clothes and everything.
No, if anybody in chat don't know who Fishing Chick is, you need to go and watch her YouTube channel and watch some of those shows.
I think she's changed her name.
I don't know if she did or not, but
I don't think she goes by Fishing Chick anymore.
I'll have to find out. But it was hilarious. She did a video where she went out there to Muddy Chris and fish and had that replica of him, and like, well, I came out to meet the infamous Chris Flores, and here he is on her boat. And it's a little doll. She would not let that go.
She's a mess.
She was a pit bull. Hey, she was a pit bull with a bone.
Yeah. 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 Ken and I are hopefully gonna come down to New Mexico this year.
Well, you better get down here. We've been waiting for you.
Well, I talked to Sam, your buddy Sam, and told him, of course, Ken will want to go chase down rattlesnakes or something stupid, crazy, and we'll go fishing. Huh?
They got 12-foot rattlesnakes in New Mexico.
We got them right here at my back door.
No, I'm saying, but out in New Mexico, they'll lay with a head in one ditch and a tail in another ditch.
Did you not see all them fish them rattlesnakes we got here last year? Lord of mercy. Hopefully we won't have any snakes this year. I don't know.
No, New Mexico is known for rattlers.
Yeah. Well, we had a huge drought this past year, and they come down from the hills and just apparently my house or yard said, "Snakes welcome."
Yeah,
You know,
I'm gonna have to get a hold of Fishing Chick and see how she's doing. I haven't seen her around.
Did you see the video where Ken was on all fours on the front porch, reaching down, trying to catch this rattlesnake?
Yeah.
You know, it was like, who have I married here? But anyway, he was barefooted, went out in the yard, run it out from the bushes, picked it up by the tail, and I'm screaming, and he lets it off in the ditch, and he said, he'll be up on top of the hillside by tomorrow. I said, why not today? But he did give me a warning to leave his snakes alone. I thought, oh, okay, I will.
No,
But I didn't. But I am looking. I'm looking forward to seeing Chris at the Catfish Conference. He may tell me to go away, but I'm gonna try to hang out around his area because I get tired real easy, and so I figure it'd be a welcome place to sit.
Come on over, Paula. You're always welcome.
Brian Swift is saying hello, Muddy.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, I didn't get a chance. There was a few on there. Old Mr. Parker and Solo Texan.
I do have a question. You were at CatCon when Fishing Chick tried to hijack Epic's flathead display, weren't you?
Me or Paula?
Yeah.
If I was, which I'm sure I was, I'm probably running about 100 miles an hour, and I didn't see that.
Yeah, just after his seminar was over, and he walked up to her to the side of the stage and says, "I'm taking your flathead." He goes, "No, you ain't. I need it." All of a sudden, you see her run up on the stage, grab it, and take off, and Epic's going right across the stage, right behind her.
Oh Lord, I don't know if I want to go Catfish Conference this year or not.
No, I mean, fishing chick, she was just full of it. Piss and vinegar. I mean, she was full of practical jokes.
Yeah, she came this past year and stayed, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. I can't remember. On her way through going to somewhere, and I was pretty sick, so I wasn't up to a whole lot of fishing. But I enjoyed, the fact she took time out of her, trip to come by and visit with me. So
She drove from Arizona all the way up to Tom and Michelle's and back, pulling her boat.
yeah, with a big camper on her truck.
And she fished with a lot of YouTubers. That was just amazing. I don't think of anybody that do that kind of road trip. Would you? Going
I
from,
can't. I gotta work. I'm a poor person.
I'm poor too, but it's just amazing.
I gotta work tomorrow, and I don't. They're calling for freezing rain, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna get out of this job this day? Tell them I don't have a wetsuit or something. But
They may come pick you up.
no, because he drives a car, I drive a 4-wheel drive. But I've been like our Christmas decorations for the ranch. He had bought, and they're cardboard, so he told me to take them, and I cut like 3/4 inch plywood. I had to make like 14 candy canes and gingerbread men and ornaments, and so on days that it's rainy or too cold, that's what I've been doing, going down into Ken's world and playing with his equipment, his tools, and man, I love that shop down there.
Chris, you did a DIY that was amazing that I liked. It was made out of PVC and a cast net.
PVC and a cast net.
And you had 40 foot of rope to it that you threw in a creek to catch bait.
Oh yeah.
Explain that one. Why did you?
Is that the lawn chair one that I did?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was. This is what happens when I got time on my hands. I went to work that day, and it turned out that there was nothing to be done that day. So I ended up with a very rare day off. So as I was driving home, I see one of those fold out lawn chairs sitting there with a couple of other things for sale. And I drove right past it, and I was thinking in my mind, I said, you know what? I could probably turn that into a net of some kind. So I turned back around and I asked the guy how much. So I bought that lawn chair. Basically what I did is I took the mesh off of it. I zip tied my cast net to it, put some pool noodle on top, left the lead line on the bottom, tied a rope to it so when you open it, it stays open. I threw it in the ditch, and the fish swim right into it.
That
wow.
was amazing.
I'm gonna tell you, he's a lot like Ken, boy. Them wheels are spinning, and they can come up with these contraptions, and you think, how do y'all do this?
I thought he was doing it to be funny, but after watching him do it, I'm like, really?
Well, when I got to
all them suckers, all them shad, and that bass, and a crop.
When I got to New Mexico, and we'd loaded up to go to the secret place, we stopped at this one place, and he got out to throw his net. Do you remember that, Chris? You got out and you threw your net one time, and I was like, oh my God, this is enough bait to last 10 months. Out of this little ditch running down the middle of the desert. You know, but it is beautiful there. Absolutely beautiful there.
Now, Chris, the shad and red horse suckers and the carp, what other baits do you use?
My main baits are common carp, gizzard shad, and bluegill. Those are my
What's your
three.
favorite?
I go back and forth on that. My favorite, honestly, my favorite is shad, and then carp is the second. But they're both right there, hand in hand. You know, once I look back on my fishing trips, like the biggest fish ever put in my boat with a client was 47-pound blue cat, and that was caught on carp. You know, I think it's a mental thing where I just think shad's a little better than carp, but you know,
Do you
I
think
can't
that
catch shad, and
because
I'll go out with carp and I'll just tear them all up. So
do you think the shad is because shad bleeds so well?
you know what? I think it's the opposite. I think shad because they have that they make that they secrete that slime, right? And if you think about it, when a shad is spooked in its natural environment, it secretes that slime. It's a stress, right? So that in itself gives a scent trail for the fish to find it. Um, Now the blood, when you cut it, it you know, of course it helps. It's adding that blood scent. But a lot of guys I've noticed they'll wash the slime off, and I don't do that. I keep that slime as soon as I catch them, I put them in a Ziploc bag because they're going to stress. They're going to release that slime, but it stays in the Ziploc bag.
Right.
I think that's partly what attracts them. Now the carp, on the other hand, the carp is way bloodier than the shad is, and it's an more oilier fish. So the oil and the blood on the carp versus the slime and the blood on the shad. So they both have their their strong points. Now the one thing that I will say about carp is that stuff stays on a hook much better than shad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this. Uh, a lot of people, when they flathead fish, they usually around here it's bluegill, sunfish, perch, whatever you want to call them. They want them whole or they're swimming around. We catch just as many, if not more, on cut bait than non-cut.
Right.
Now,
I went through that when I first started fishing for flatheads, and that goes way back to In Fisherman magazine and old Doug Stange, watching him put a bluegill on a hook and tossing it out in a log jam. And so that's where I learned to use live bait for flatheads. And so I'd gather my live bait, and then I'd be trying to keep them alive. And sometimes I'm out there in the desert heat, and I got to put ice in there with the bubble maker and trying to keep them cool so they don't die on me. So I'd be fishing one rod with live bluegill and another rod with cut bait, and I'm kind of catching them on both rods, and
Right.
then it get to the point where I started wondering. I said, is it even worth the hassle of bringing this live bait all the time, trying to keep it alive and having the racket of the bubble maker when I'm trying to make a video? So I started trying just fresh cut bait, and honestly, I catch just as many, if not more, on fresh
Uncut.
cut bait.
So yeah, that's something that I've always said is, I really don't have to have that live fish to flathead fish because it seems like we've done better with cut bait than live fish.
Right.
And it's hard to keep a gizzard shad alive, you know
Right.
that. But for some reason, and Ken says it's in my head, but I just assumed fish with cut bait for flathead as I had live bait any day of the week.
Right.
But that's just me.
Well, you saw that day we went out, and we just had cut bait.
Yeah. I mean, and we caught fish. I mean, what, 15, 20 fish?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just fish after fish after fish. It was amazing.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Christy Brown, thank you for posting Fishing Chick's link in chat. And Fishing Chick has a video of Elephant Butte Lake with you.
Yeah, she came out here. We went out, messed around. We went out with Dave and whatnot, and did a little fishing, caught some fish.
Now, if you want to get a laugh, you go fishing with Captain Dave.
He's had Captain Dave on his boat before.
Boy, I'm tell you what, he will keep you rolling.
He's had James Alba on his boat. He has had a lot of people on his boat.
Yeah, you know, we all need to be saying a special prayer for James. He needs
a lot of prayers right now because he's been in and out of the hospital. So
yeah.
So have you fished with a Mr. Duggar, that New Mexico alien yet?
No, I have not, but I did meet him the other day at at the boat ramp. I got to talk to him and stuff, and really cool guy, man. Hoping one day we'll get to fish together. Yep. Solo Texans asking a question. Am I planning on going fishing at Ute Lake more this year? Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, on my way back from Catfish Conference, depending on how everything works out, I might hire a guide and just go out and kind of familiarize myself with the lake a little bit. I told him, I said, I'm not interested in fishing spots. I don't, I just I kind of want to cut my time down. I want to go out there and just kind of see the lake for myself. And then I want to come up in the spring with my family and then fish it,
Right.
So, if all goes as planned, I'll fish Ute Lake the week after Catfish Conference. I'll hit it on my way home, and then in the springtime I'll go back with the family and fish it for a couple of days.
How big would you say Ute Lake is?
How deep?
How big?
How big? They said right now it's about 13 miles across.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it's actually bigger than Elephant Butte is right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: do you like when the Duck River is low? I don't know how everybody else is, but my mind's always going. When it's low, I watch that bank line, like that tree that's out of the water, half the roots out of the water. I know where that tree is when summertime at summer pool and it's underwater. I remember that. I try to memorize every portion that I see wherever I'm fishing,
Right.
Now things can change with debris and fallen trees, but trees that are going to still be there, that are still in good shape. When that water's low, you can see where them fish can get up in there and get away from us.
Right.
So when the water in summer pool, that's a good place you can fish because there's a good hole there that they can hide in.
Right.
I don't know if I thought, am I crazy? Am I the only person that does this? But it's like I memorized that in every fishing trip I go to. I've noticed these things, and it's like I may have failed kindergarten, but you know what I'm saying? This is just something that it's in my head. I don't know.
Paula, Indiana Chris has a question for you. Do you remember making out lake maps too?
Making what?
A lake map.
I made a lake map.
Hold on, let me find it so I can post it. Where'd it go? Indiana Chris was asking if you remember making a lake map.
I may have. I have chemo brain.
Oh, marking the map.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
My bad. I misread that one.
Yeah, there ain't a time I get on that boat that I don't have a new mark on it. It's got to the point where it's nothing but blue dots going down through there.
Yeah, Chris, I'll email you and see about getting a date set up for you to be alive sometime. Be a guest.
Yeah, there's some feedback on here, and I can't really hear you guys.
Well, I'm gonna have to be the party pooper because it's 9:15 and it's past my bedtime. I'm like on a child schedule now until all this crap gets out of my system. But I appreciate you inviting me onto your show. And Chris, I love you to death. Tell Fran I said hi and I love her to death. And can't wait to see y'all at CatCon. And Robin, it was great talking to you again. And y'all have to beat me out of here. I don't know how to do all that. But thank you so much to everybody and your compliments. It really touches me.
You're a great lady.
Thank you so much. It means the world to me, and I've said it a million times. I appreciate all the support that the catfishing world has given me because it kept me fighting, and I truly appreciate it.
Well, 110%, Paula.
I appreciate that. I really do. And Chris, I'll see you at CatCon. I'm so excited. Herv messaged me the other day.
Really?
Hervey, however y'all say it.
Yeah, hooray.
He said, apparently he didn't know that I had cancer. And he said, are you the same Paula that come down and did the seminar? And I said, yeah. And he said, I had no idea what you were going through because they were giving away free tickets and stuff. And I like for the first 10 people, and I like commented and I won. And I thought, well, that gum, I ain't never won nothing in my life. and then he messaged me and said, are you the same Paula Smith? And I said, yes. And we talked for quite a bit, and he was super, super sweet. But it was an honor that he remembered me. You know how that is when people remember you. It's like, wow. So anyway, I love all of y'all, and I enjoy the show, but I've got to get into bed because I got to go work in sub-zero weather tomorrow.
Paula, we've been live for 2.5 hours, and we've been keeping 35 people in chat.
I don't know if I've been keeping them in chat or not.
Yeah, hey, everybody loves you, and when Chris came up, it made it better.
Oh yeah.
They loved it.
Like I said, you can't. And Chris, don't get your head so swelled because mine's already swelled. I can't get out of Ken's office. Don't get your head so swelled, but you can't beat Chris Flores. You cannot beat him. He is an absolute outstanding sponsor, friend. I consider him a brother. He has really stood behind me and helped me, guide me, and he's done a lot for me, and I will never forget it. Never.
Well,
Thank you, Paula. I love you.
All
woman.
right. Love you guys.
Chris,
Love you
you're
too,
amazing.
Paula.
Somebody beat me out.
I'll beep you out here in a minute. Chris,
No,
you're
I
amazing, and I love what you do for the catfishing community. And I'll shoot you an email about being a guest sometime.
All right,
good.
you do that. Y'all keep your eyes out because I'm gonna tear them up this year.
Woo-hoo.
Anything to say, Robin?
I appreciate Chris coming up and, just giving Paula that extra boost to say, hey, girl, I got your back.
Oh yeah.
That was cool.
Thank you, Robin. I'll shave for the next one. I promise.
You better.
Hey, you don't have to shave. I don't shave. So. All right, everybody. Good night and tight lines, and take care. And we'll see you next week. And next week,
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you guys.
Next week we will have Catfish Hammer.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.